Do you ever feel like you're running a race you never signed up for? A frantic, breathless sprint from sunrise to sunset only to collapse at the finish line feeling like you went nowhere? You're not alone. The world today is a symphony of distractions, a relentless barrage of pings, notifications, and curated highlight reels designed to steal your most valuable assets, your time and your energy. We live in an era where everyone is an aspiring CEO of their own personal brand, yet most are just overworked, underpaid interns to their own procrastination. We worship productivity gurus and their meticulously color coded calendars, but we fail to grasp the fundamental truth. Productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. It's not a race against the clock, it's a war against the irrelevant. Think of your time and your energy not as an endless resource, but as a finite fortune, a trust fund that diminishes with every minute squandered on mindless scrolling, every hour lost to pointless meetings, every ounce of emotional energy drained by toxic relationships. You wouldn't hand over your bank account password to a stranger, yet you willingly give away your most precious currency to anything that demands a moment of your attention. This isn't just about poor time management. It's a profound miscalculation of your own worth. You've been conditioned to believe that business is a badge of honor, that a packed schedule is a sign of success. But what if that packed schedule is nothing more than a cage you've built for yourself? The first and most crippling mistake most people make is a catastrophic failure of mindset. They see time as a linear external force to be tamed, not an internal personal resource to be mastered. They say, I don't have enough time, as if time is something you can find under the couch cushions. The truth is, you have all the time you're ever going to get. What you lack is the conviction to say no. No to the demands that don't align with your purpose. No to the people who drain your spirit. No to the habits that sabotage your progress. This is the first and most difficult battle you'll ever fight. The battle against your own passivity. You must become the ruthless gatekeeper of your own life, guarding your time and energy as if they were the last vestiges of a dying kingdom. This mindset shift isn't just a mental exercise. It's a total reevaluation of your personal philosophy. You must stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as the architect of your destiny. This is the core of my philosophy, the idea that the power of your mind is the ultimate creator of your reality. You can't control the world, but you can control your response to it. You can't stop the clock, but you can choose what you do with the time it gives you. This is the difference between those who merely exist and those who truly live. Those who are tossed around by the currents of life and those who build their own ship and set their course. The second part of this equation, often overlooked, is a lack of unwavering belief, not in some grand cosmic force, but in yourself, in your ability to execute, to follow through, to do the hard things when no one is watching. The person who says, I don't have time, is often the same person who secretly fears they aren't capable of achieving their goal. They use busyness as a shield, a convenient excuse to avoid the terrifying possibility of failure. They fill their days with trivial tasks, so they never have to confront the grand, intimidating mission they've been putting off. Belief is the fuel for action. It's the quiet, internal knowing that you are worthy of the outcome you desire. It's the unwavering conviction that your vision is not a fantasy, but a blueprint waiting to be built. Without it, your grand plans are just castles in the sand, destined to be washed away by the first wave of doubt. This belief must be cultivated daily, like a garden. You can't just wish for it. You must plant the seeds of self-affirmation, water them with consistent action, and weed out the doubts that try to choke them. This is what separates a dreamer from a doer. A dreamer waits for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect set of circumstances. A doer, on the other hand, understands that the perfect moment is now. The perfect opportunity is what you create, and the perfect circumstances are built, not found. Think of Thomas Edison. He didn't wait for the light bulb to invent itself. He didn't say, I don't have time to fail 1,000 times. He saw each failure not as a roadblock, but as a lesson, a step closer to the truth. His belief in his vision was so unshakable that the sheer volume of his effort eventually bent reality to his will. This is the power you wield when you combine a purpose-driven mindset with an unshakable belief in your own ability. This leads us to the critical yet often neglected third pillar, absolute clarity. Most people fail because they don't know what they're fighting for. They're like a ship without a rudder, a wanderer without a map. They're moving, but without a destination. A life without a clear, compelling vision is a life spent in perpetual motion sickness. You're busy, you're stressed, but you're not moving toward anything meaningful. Clarity is the antidote to this chaos. It is the ability to distill your desires into a singular, laser-focused purpose. It is the ability to answer without hesitation the question, what is the one thing I must accomplish? This isn't about a to-do list, it's about a to-be list. Who do you need to become to achieve this vision? What skills do you need to acquire? What habits do you need to adopt? This is where your time and energy management becomes not just a tactical exercise, but a strategic one. Once you have absolute clarity on your ultimate destination, every action, every choice, every minute of your day becomes a deliberate step toward it. When you know your North Star, you can ignore the thousands of twinkling lights that try to distract you. You can say no with ease because you know what you're saying yes to. This is the power of a written, vivid, and emotionally charged vision. It's not a dusty document you file away. It's a living, breathing blueprint that you revisit daily. It should be so compelling that it pulls you out of bed on the days you don't feel like it. It should be so powerful that it makes the sacrifices and the hard work feel like a privilege, not a chore. The reason so many people's New Year's resolutions die by February is a lack of a compelling vision. They focus on the action, I will go to the gym 5 times a week, but they fail to connect that action to a higher purpose. They don't have a soul-deep reason why they're doing it. The gym isn't the goal, it's a vehicle. The goal is the vitality, the confidence, the long life you want to live. Clarity turns a painful process into a powerful pilgrimage. It transforms drudgery into purpose. Without it, you are simply a machine performing tasks, not a person on a mission. And a machine, no matter how efficient, will eventually break down. The lack of a burning, all-consuming purpose is the fourth, and perhaps most tragic, reason for the squandering of time and energy. Most people drift through life with a vague sense of ambition, a general desire for success or happiness. They wait for purpose to find them, to knock on their door like a delivery driver with a prepackaged destiny. They don't understand that purpose is not something you find, it is something you forge. It is the unique intersection of your passions, your talents, and the world's greatest needs. It's the answer to the question, what problem was I born to solve? This isn't about some mystical grand calling. It can be as simple as a purpose to provide for your family, to master your craft, to create something beautiful, or to help a single person. Your purpose is the gravitational force that aligns your time and energy. When you're living in alignment with your purpose, your energy is not drained, it's renewed. The work that once felt like a burden now feels like a sacred mission. Think of Walt Disney. His purpose wasn't just to make cartoons, it was to bring joy and wonder to the world. That purpose fueled him through bankruptcies, failures, and a relentless stream of setbacks. It was a purpose so profound that it manifested into a magical kingdom. Without a compelling purpose, every distraction becomes a valid option, every minute a potential pit stop. The fifth and most lethal trap is a profound lack of discipline. We live in a world that sells us the fantasy of instant gratification. We want the results without the work, the victory without the struggle. We are a generation of emotional tourists, hopping from one feel-good activity to the next, seeking external validation and momentary highs. We've been trained to follow our feelings rather than our commitments. We hit the snooze button on our dreams and say, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow is the graveyard where most great ideas go to die. Discipline is the bridge between your purpose and your reality. It is the ruthless, unyielding commitment to do the things you said you would do, even when you don't feel like doing them. Discipline isn't a punishment. It's an act of self-love. It's the recognition that you owe your future self the effort and sacrifice required today. It's the understanding that the pain of regret is infinitely worse than the pain of discipline. It's showing up for your goals, not just when you're motivated, but when you're exhausted, when you're discouraged, when the entire world seems to be conspiring against you. Andrew Carnegie, the titan of industry, didn't build his empire on good feelings. He built it on a steel-spined commitment to his vision. He understood that success is not an event, it's a habit. It's the aggregation of 1,000 small, disciplined actions repeated over and over until they become a part of your character. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's easy to talk about purpose and vision, but it's the daily, minute-by-minute practice of discipline that separates the contenders from the spectators. Discipline is what allows you to say no to the 1-hour TV show and yes to the 1 hour of deep work. It's what allows you to wake up at 5 a.m., to work on your dream when your bed feels like a magnetic sanctuary. This isn't about brute force. It's about building a system of habits and routines that automate your progress. You don't need to rely on willpower every single day. You need to build a life that makes the right choices the easy choices. You need to create a routine that is so deeply ingrained that it feels more unnatural to not do the work than to do it. This is the ultimate freedom, the freedom that comes from being the master of your own actions, not a slave to your fleeting feelings. The sixth fatal flaw is the paralysis of inaction. Many people are trapped in an endless loop of planning, strategizing, and consuming information. They read every book, listen to every podcast, and watch every motivational video, but they never start. They mistake preparation for progress. They are like a general studying 1,000 maps, but never sending a single soldier into battle. They wait for all the lights to turn green before they begin their journey, not realizing that the journey itself is what reveals the path. The perfect plan is a myth. The perfect time is an illusion. Action is the only currency that matters. This isn't an endorsement of reckless abandon. It's a call for courageous imperfection. The first step is never perfect. The first draft is always terrible. The first product is full of flaws. But it is only through that initial imperfect action that you gain the feedback, the experience, and the momentum to improve. Think of Henry Ford. He didn't build the perfect car on his first try. He built a flawed prototype, iterated on it, and eventually revolutionized an entire industry. His genius wasn't in having the perfect plan. It was in his relentless commitment to action and iteration. The fear of failure is the silent killer of dreams. It keeps us in the safe, comfortable world of what if and someday. It makes us believe that if we just wait a little longer, if we just learn a little more, we can avoid the pain of a mistake. But mistakes are not the opposite of success. They are the stepping stones to it. Every great achievement in history is a monument to the failures that preceded it. The most successful people aren't the ones who never fail. They are the ones who fail faster and learn more from each failure. They understand that progress is not a straight line. It's a messy, winding road filled with detours and dead ends. But they keep moving forward because they know that every step, no matter how small, is a victory against stagnation. Start before you're ready. The universe rewards the courageous, not the cautious. The seventh and most profound issue is a catastrophic deficit of gratitude. We live in an age of insatiable desire, constantly comparing our lives to the curated highlight reels of others. We are so focused on what we lack that we fail to appreciate the abundance that surrounds us. This constant state of lack creates a draining vortex of negative energy. It saps our motivation, diminishes our joy, and turns every task into a burden. We forget that the opportunity to even pursue our goals is a privilege. We forget that the challenges we face are often a sign that we are on the right path, pushing our limits and growing beyond our comfort zone. Gratitude is not a passive emotion. It is an active practice. It is the intentional act of acknowledging the good in your life, even amidst the chaos and the struggle. It's the daily recognition that your health, your intellect, and your freedom are not to be taken for granted. When you cultivate a heart of gratitude, you shift your focus from what's missing to what's present. This simple shift in perspective is a powerful lever that can multiply your energy. When you appreciate the opportunity to work on your dream, the work itself becomes more enjoyable. When you are grateful for the challenges, they become a source of strength instead of a source of stress. Gratitude is the foundation of resilience. It is the fuel that keeps you going when the world says you should quit. It is the ultimate antidote to the victim mentality. This practice is not about ignoring your problems, it's about reframing them. It's about seeing the struggle not as a curse, but as a crucible that forges your character. It is the understanding that the most successful people are not the ones with the easiest lives, but the ones who learn to leverage adversity for their advantage. Abraham Lincoln's presidency was a constant struggle, yet he transformed those immense challenges into a legacy that defined a nation. He didn't complain about the hardships. He used them to sharpen his resolve. This is the power you unleash when you learn to be grateful for the entire journey, not just the destination. The eighth reason for failure is a crippling rigidity and an inability to adapt. In a world of unprecedented change, most people cling to old methods and outdated beliefs. They follow the same routines, use the same strategies, and think the same thoughts, expecting a different result. They are like a sailor using a map from a century ago, refusing to acknowledge the shifting currents and the new islands that have appeared. Adaptability is the key to survival and success in the 21st century. It is the willingness to be a beginner again, to unlearn what you think you know, and to embrace the unknown with curiosity and courage. The most successful people in history, from Steve Jobs and his pivot from Apple to NXT and back, to Jeff Bezos and his evolution from an online bookseller to the architect of a global empire, were masters of adaptation. They didn't fall in love with their initial plan. They fell in love with the process of discovery and reinvention. They understood that the marketplace is a conversation, not a monologue. They listened to the feedback, learned from their mistakes, and adjusted their course. Most people fail because they are too proud, too afraid, or too stubborn to change. They are so invested in being right that they would rather fail than admit they were wrong. This isn't about being directionless. It's about being responsive. It's about having a strong vision, but holding it lightly. Being willing to change the how in pursuit of the what. It's about understanding that the path to your dream might not be the one you initially imagined. It might be filled with twists and turns, with detours that lead to unexpected opportunities. The person who is unwilling to adapt will find themselves stranded on an island of their own making while the world moves on without them. Embrace change not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth. The greatest innovations are born from a willingness to experiment and a readiness to fail. Your ability to manage your time and energy wisely is directly tied to your ability to let go of what no longer serves you: old habits, old beliefs, and old ways of thinking. The ninth and final reason is the most insidious of all: a profound failure to learn. Most people approach life as a spectator sport. They watch the news, they scroll through social media, they consume entertainment, but they rarely invest time in a deliberate and focused practice of learning. They believe that their formal education ended the day they received their diploma. They fail to understand that in a rapidly evolving world, the moment you stop learning, you start dying. Your ability to grow is directly proportional to your commitment to learning. The most successful people are not just doers. They are perpetual students. They are voracious readers, active listeners, and relentless questioners. They understand that their most valuable asset is their mind, and they treat it like a muscle that must be worked out daily. Think of the great minds of history: Leonardo da Vinci, a painter, scientist, and inventor; Benjamin Franklin, an author, printer, political theorist, and inventor. They were polymaths, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a deep love for learning. They understood that knowledge is a form of leverage, a powerful tool for solving problems and creating new opportunities. Most people squander their time and energy on passive consumption. They fill their minds with noise instead of substance. They are a sponge for trivia, but a sieve for wisdom. To manage your time and energy effectively, you must become the intentional curator of your own mind. You must dedicate time each day, even if it's just 15 minutes, to reading a book, listening to a lecture, or learning a new skill. You must prioritize intellectual growth over mindless entertainment. This isn't about becoming an academic. It's about becoming a more effective human being. Learning is the ultimate act of self-empowerment. It is the one thing that no one can ever take away from you. It is the key that unlocks new possibilities and reveals new paths. And so, we arrive at the crossroads. You have been running the wrong race. You have been chasing a life of busyness, not a life of purpose. You have been a slave to your own habits and a victim of your own passivity. But it doesn't have to be this way. The truth is, the world is not conspiring against you. The distractions are not the enemy. Your response to them is. The solution is not to find more time, but to reclaim the time you have. The answer is not to find more energy, but to redirect the energy you are already spending. This journey begins now with a single, courageous act of will, a deep, unwavering commitment to a new way of being. It starts with the conviction to say no to everything that doesn't align with your deepest purpose. It starts with the belief that you are worthy of the life you dream of. It starts with the clarity to define what that life looks like. It starts with the discipline to take the first imperfect step. It starts with the courage to fail and the resilience to get back up. It starts with the gratitude to appreciate the struggle and the commitment to learn from every setback. The clock is ticking. The world is not waiting for you to get ready, but your destiny is. The masterpiece of your life is not a future event. It is the sum of every choice you make, every minute you invest, and every ounce of energy you spend. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue to be a spectator in your own life? Or are you going to step onto the field, take the ball, and start playing to win? The choice is yours. The time is now. Go build your masterpiece. This failure to truly learn is often compounded by the last and most devastating misstep, a profound lack of emotional resilience. Life is not a linear upward climb. It is a series of peaks and valleys. The most successful people are not the ones who avoid the valleys. They are the ones who learn to navigate them with grace and grit. Most people, however, are emotionally fragile. They are knocked off course by the first setback, derailed by a single piece of negative feedback, and shattered by a minor failure. They are a glass jaw in a world full of heavyweights. Emotional resilience is the muscle that allows you to bounce back from adversity, to see setbacks not as an end, but as a new beginning. It is the ability to absorb the blows of life without losing your sense of purpose or your belief in yourself. Think of figures like Abraham Lincoln, who faced defeat in multiple elections, experienced personal tragedy, and endured immense criticism before becoming one of the most revered presidents in American history. His journey was a testament to his unbreakable spirit. He didn't crumble under the weight of his failures. He used them to forge a steel-like resolve. Resilience is the ultimate time and energy saver. It prevents you from wasting precious resources on self-pity, blame, and despair. This is not a trait you were born with. It is a skill you must cultivate. It begins with a fundamental shift in how you view your own failures. You must stop seeing them as personal indictments and start seeing them as data points. A failed business is not a sign of your worthlessness. It is the laboratory result that tells you what not to do next time. The rejection is not a verdict on your talent. It is a lesson in persistence. To build this resilience, you must practice self-compassion. You must learn to speak to yourself with the same kindness and encouragement you would offer a trusted friend. You must understand that setbacks are a universal part of the human experience, not a unique curse placed upon you. The people who fail to manage their time and energy wisely are often the ones who spend the most time recovering from their own emotional wounds, nursing a bruised ego, and replaying their past mistakes. They are fighting a war against themselves, and it is a war they cannot win. And so we arrive at the final climactic point, the one that ties all of these threads together. The ultimate reason most people fail to manage their time and energy is a catastrophic lack of personal accountability. They are waiting for a savior. They are waiting for a magical productivity hack, a new app, a different job, or a different set of circumstances to solve their problems. They point the finger at their boss, their partner, the economy, or the universe, and fail to look in the mirror. Accountability is the bedrock of all success. It is the willingness to own your choices, your actions, and your results without excuse or blame. When you take full responsibility for your life, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the architect of your destiny. You understand that your results are not a matter of luck or fate. They are a direct reflection of your habits and your decisions. This is the hardest truth to swallow, but it is also the most liberating. When you accept that you are the sole person responsible for your time and energy, you realize that you also hold the key to transforming your life. You have the power to say no to the irrelevant, to focus on the essential, and to build a life that is a monument to your purpose. This is not a game you can win with good intentions. It is a war you can only win with ruthless execution. It's a war fought in the quiet moments of the morning, when the choice is between the comfort of your bed and the pursuit of your dreams. It's a war fought in the evening, when the choice is between mindless entertainment and purposeful action. It's a war fought every single time you choose to do the hard thing instead of the easy thing. This is the battle for your time. This is the battle for your energy. This is the battle for your life. And you are the only one who can fight it. So, let's stop talking about time management. Let's start talking about life management. Let's stop talking about productivity hacks and start talking about purposeful living. The time you have is not a blank slate to be filled. It is a finite canvas to be painted. And the masterpiece of your life will be judged not by how busy you were, but by what you created. So I ask you one final time, what are you building? What are you fighting for? And are you willing to give it the time and energy it deserves? Your answer to that question will determine everything. Now, go create.